What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Faithful Fanatic Show. As always, I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. And of course, to my right is my faithful co-host, Matt McGinty. You can find him on Twitter as well at Matt_McGinty. And we are brought to you by DSM Media, streaming to you guys live through our Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube page. If you're new to the channel, head on over to at DSM_media. You can find the link tree in our bio to every social media platform we are on, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. Gint, we're in the deal zone, brother. What is going on?
Nothing, man. We did this last year at this time, and I felt very identical to what I feel now. And it's a different magnitude of deal that could be coming. So it's exciting. Just hoping I'm not let down by George Hill coming to Philadelphia.
I'm sure we will. Brian Windhorst grabbed us by the balls and just made us hang on until 3 p.m. tomorrow, and nothing will happen, I'm sure. But it's like we have a new catchphrase every year for Hope. Last year, it was the 1 yard line. The 76ers were on the 1 yard line to get Kyle Lowry. They don't punch it across. And now, obviously, Windhorst says early this morning that they're in the deal zone, which gets everyone riled up, gets Twitter, riled up. And now every report that I see, I'm like, come on. And then Woj comes out, and I guess that's where we'll start, man. So before we get into what you and I would do, what the Sixers will do, what fans are thinking, and kind of the overall reaction, different packages, what other moves could be made besides James Harden, I just want to, gauge your thought process, your confidence level right now. Where are you at? Because there's a million reports out right now. People with a blue check mark, people with 19 followers, everyone, Sixers fans. Yeah, everyone wants to just point their finger. Look. But you have Windhorst come out who, in the past, and Windhorst has been wrong before. He said some false things before. But, I feel like Brian Windhorst has never been pro Philadelphia in a report in my long term, my short-term memory. So when I hear him say these things and how Harden wants to be here, but then you hear Woj come out probably 2 hours later, an hour later, and say, there's no negotiation going on. Where's your confidence level at with all these different reports? Because Woj is top dog. Anything Woj says goes. And when he says there's no rumblings, are you feeling like there's no rumblings? The wording of his tweet was because he said there's no negotiations going on. That doesn't mean nothing's been offered. So where's your confidence level at with this whole trade rumor?
The whole he said, she said thing is tough, especially like we just mentioned with Brian Windhorst last year. And the whole 1 yard line statement will always stick with me.
Yeah.
I think Woj is really smart with his words as well. So I forget who tweeted it today. Someone tweeted today and said, like, Woj can just keep saying this isn't going on. If it never happens, he looks like the smartest man in America. But then if it happens, he can say talks just picked up in the last hour or so, and they finally got across the deal. So I'm not very confident that they're going to see eye to eye in a deal. I think Philadelphia, obviously, the only reports I've seen is they want to keep Maxey. He's not going to be involved in a deal. I don't think Philadelphia would want to give Thibault, Curry, and Drummond away all in one deal. Obviously, Ben included in that.
Philadelphia won it.
Yeah.
But I would. I'll pack their goddamn bags for them.
Yeah. So I don't have the most confidence it's going to happen. It's not – they just seem to be like one player off in terms of what each team wants.
Yeah. All right, well, before we get to those players, like you said, Matisse Thybulle's name's been thrown out there, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond. I just heard Isaiah Joe's name is thrown out there by Jordan Schultz on the Mike Missinelli show, so I have no idea what Brooklyn actually wants, what's going on behind closed doors, but my confidence level is kind of shot because I got overly optimistic about it because it just felt different. It felt more real than last year with Lowry. It felt more real than early in October and November with the Harden for Ben rumors. And those were times where we were like, no, don't do it. And now you want it and you don't want to miss out on them again. And it's just like too many conflicting reports, too short of a timetable. Like Shams didn't even report it till late Friday night, Gint, that Brooklyn was now open to engaging in talks. You also have the fact that James Harden is out due to a hamstring. You have the report that he's being intentionally held out. So who really knows what the truth behind it all is? And that's the most frustrating thing. I don't know how anyone can have any sort of confidence that a move is going to go down. To me, the old saying where there's smoke, there's fire. There's a lot of goddamn
Yeah,
smoke right now.
I definitely agree. And the biggest thing about the whole situation is the fact that Harden's apparently pushing his way out. He doesn't want to be in Brooklyn anymore, it sounds.
Yeah.
Which who would want to be with the headaches that are going on over there? So if they can get a haul for him, which includes a 25-year-old All-Star, if they can get Seth Curry, if they can get a young Matisse Thybulle, I'm sure they would jump on the case. But I don't. They're still obviously contenders. I think yesterday was the first time in the NBA season where they weren't the favorite to win the NBA title. I read, so
Yeah.
it's a tough situation for them to be in.
Right. Vegas has Harden's next team odds of Philadelphia being minus 265, in the lead. So who knows? Ryan says James Harden trade involving Philadelphia, Brooklyn, OKC, Indiana, and maybe a mystery team of 5. But man, who the hell knows with Daryl Morey and who the hell knows with this?
Deal.
Yeah, with what's going to go on here. Let's see. Do we get this deal and keep Thybulle? Well, let's get into that, right? That's my next topic of today's show, past the confidence level, is what's on the table. So before, you and I again have talked on this show and to a lot of people about the Tyrese Maxey thing. Tyrese Maxey, it looks like, is not going to be included. Philadelphia has made that abundantly clear. Tyrese Maxey is off the table in terms of this trade for James Harden, which I'm happy for. Like, I didn't want to have to move Tyrese Maxey, but if I had to, I might have thought about pulling the trigger, right? But now you had the Maxey camp. You got your way. He's not being moved, it looks like. You got the Thybulle is untouchable camp. I hear you a little bit, but we disagree. I'll go and pack Matisse's bags right now for him if it means to get James Harden. And now, over the last 24 to 48 hours, Gint, I've had this weird, social media outburst of Seth Curry can't be involved. What are we doing, guys? Seth Curry's untouchable for James Harden. Are we joking ourselves? I've never seen anything like this. Philadelphia, our fan base cannot be happy again. We want. Daryl Morey, make the deal. Daryl Morey, go get James Harden. But you can't give up Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, or Seth Curry. What do you think Brooklyn's going to take, guys? Furkan and Shake? Like, get your heads out of your asses. And this whole thing. And here's where I want to phrase this to you again. And I think I understand that the trade is being headlined by Ben Simmons. I don't view it as that, though. Like, I don't view it as we're losing 3 players if it was Ben, Matisse, and Curry for James Harden. Ben Simmons is not playing. Ben Simmons hasn't been playing all year, and Ben Simmons will never play in a Sixer uniform again. He quit on this team. He's not playing anymore in the city of Philadelphia. So what you're trying to build on, what you're trying to add James Harden to, is the team we've seen for the first 50-plus games this season. This team that we think is not far off from title contention, right? So forget Ben Simmons. You're taking Matisse Thybulle and Seth Curry from this current team and swapping them out for James Harden. And you're telling me that you wouldn't do it. You're telling me that doesn't push the 76ers closer to a title. Are you joking me?
I agree. We're on the same page of this. And I don't know how to word this. There's so many Matisse Thybulles in the world. Don't get me wrong, Seth Curry's good, and he shoots the ball at an
I love Seth.
But
I love him.
There's Seth Curry's in the world, and guys are much more open with James Harden. Guys are going to make more shots around James Harden. There needs to be a stage where the Sixers finally go, wow, let's take a shot at this thing. Like, let's really do this. They tried it with the Jimmy Butler team. They were so close, obviously, to getting to the conference finals.
Right, but the guy wasn't ready yet. Joel was not Joel yet.
And the guy they can get has been one of the best 5 NBA players over the last, 6 years?
Right.
I don't understand the role player keeping. I don't even understand the Maxey thing. The 21-year-old Love, don't get me wrong, the kid is special. He's going to be really good in the NBA. And I didn't want to move him in a deal with the Kings because there's a chance he ended up being really good. But when it comes to this type of movement, and when it comes to a guy that has proven to be a triple-double machine,
Go ahead.
I'm not worried about defending the perimeter.
That's just my point.
I,
We lost. Devin Booker just dropped what last night in a Sixers loss, and you cannot be worried about perimeter defense because we lose Matisse Thybulle. You know what helps perimeter defense? James Harden, who can go get you 35 and 10 assists. Like, stop it.
yeah, the love for these kids that are in the city, and it's because of the fan base. Fan base is super passionate, but it's James Harden. I don't think people realize who he is, I guess, because what this guy does is special. What he's done consistently over the last, like I said, 6 years is special. What he can do next to Joel Embiid could be beyond special. And we said last year at the deadline, I said with the whole Lowry thing, I said, like, swing for the fences on this one. Like,
Right.
go get him. Like, give yourself a chance. And
Right.
if it doesn't happen, and if you don't win it, I'm saying he's off the books next year, and you can probably try to figure something out. But like, you need to give Joel Embiid a chance. Like, this is the city saying, all right, here's the best thing we probably can get you right now. Go get it done. And Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, Seth Curry, they're not.
I just hope Daryl Morey does not share the same feelings or thoughts as some of the fan base does. And Jason's tuning in saying it's Harden or bust.
I agree.
You know, when it comes to superstar players, fans never have an issue giving up prospects, but now all of a sudden people are freaking out over Matisse and even Maxey. Now listen, I didn't want to give up Maxey, but I may have. But people don't even have to worry about that anymore. Every report I see, it is abundantly clear. He is not being moved as a part of this deal.
Let me ask you a question. If you wanted to win this year and you were acquiring James Harden, who would you want on the roster more, Seth Curry or Tyrese Maxey? This season.
This season, Seth Curry, but
next season.
It just depends on how much Maxey continues to grow.
Tyrese Maxey can't produce what he does on the court with just Tobias and Joel. So now you're sitting here throwing in the guy that probably has the highest workload in the NBA in the last 6 seasons, like I had mentioned. Where does you probably have to move him to the bench? It would be like a realistic thing, which I'm more than okay with. But to say that you can't do this deal for a guy you're probably going to have to move to the bench is crazy to me. It really is. It's crazy.
It's crazy to not do it because of a dude who's shooting under 30% from three. Like, newsflash, people, 3-and-D, right? Matisse Thybulle doesn't fall under that classification. You have to be able to produce the three in the 3-and-D to be a solid 3-and-D player. Okay? So it's crazy to me. You mentioned it's crazy to move a guy on the bench. But no, we can exclude Maxey because that's not even happening. Thybulle is a bench player for this team. Has to start here and there because of injuries and everything like that, but he's been starting as of late. It's crazy to me that they won't move, that people don't want to move Thybulle. Okay, I slightly hear you on him. But the Seth Curry one, man, it's been driving me out of my mind for the last 2 nights. Like, I love Seth Curry. But guys, wake the F up. Like, you do all three if you have to. You move Ben, Tease, Curry. That's it. Bottom line, point blank, period. Now, again, we can center this conversation. We can still, have what we would do and, those 3 names. But if people brought you the argument, because here's the other side of it, are waiting for the summer, right? Because I understand that a little bit more. Why are we going to move all 3 of these guys and when we could get James Harden in June or July? I understand that, but I can't wait, man. I can't have another. My stability cannot withstand missing out on James Harden tomorrow.
I don't think it's a good idea.
This is it.
There's so many reasons behind that. If Brooklyn wins the title,
right? What if? Yeah.
Why wouldn't they give it a chance to run it back? Or what if, I don't even know, the Miami Heat somehow free up cap space to get James Harden this summer? Like, there's just so many, all these ifs that could happen with James Harden to wait for the summer. If you're sitting here saying that you can get him and you have to give up a 21-year-old or a 3-and-D guy that can't shoot or a guy that is a good jump shooter, I don't understand.
Yeah,
I really think people forget who James Harden is.
they do. They do because he's a little bit older. He looks a little bit slower. He's got the hamstring issue. Maybe he looks a little heavier, right? Than when he first got to Brooklyn, and people think, oh, you're not trading for last year's James Harden. You're not trading for Houston's James Harden. Bull effing shit. We have a comment on Twitter. Sorry, at Joshua Ryan. The Twitter comment still won't post up on the StreamYard. But again, he said, if Seth Curry is the point that pushes the deal over the line, then I will pack his bags for him. You can pack his bags, Josh, and I'll get the car started. Okay, we can take him to the airport together. We can use Gint's car. Everybody can get in on this move, and we'll send Seth right up
plane ticket, whatever,
to Brooklyn. No, we'll drive him. It's a short ride. We can pick up James on the way back. Kata says no other star players sign here. Make the trade. Don't wait.
No,
and right now, if the reports are true, right? If he's disgruntled in Brooklyn, if he's, we all know the Kings report. What was it? He dropped 4 points in a loss to Sacramento, and it was kind of like he was just mailing it in, right? Harden got ruled out for them already. Is that true?
That's pretty crazy.
Can you clarify if this is true? Because he hasn't been ruled out until like the day of, obviously. So why would he already be ruled out for a small hamstring issue today, if that is the case? But Vincent, I saw you're a Nets fan, man. I hope you're right. What are your thoughts on this, man? Are you okay with getting James Harden? Scotty said it's true.
Ruled out for Thursday.
There's too much smoke for there not to be fire, bro. How is he ruled out already just to not play in the game? Every day it's been the day of around 2 p.m.
Especially because if the trade doesn't happen, it's tomorrow night. Like with the
that's my point.
Unless he's
my point.
The thing is like crazy.
But yeah, Vincent, are you on the board of you're okay with moving James? How do Brooklyn fans feel about James Harden now?
Ben's really good. I promise.
Yeah. Ben Simmons is a great playmaker, bro. Oh, look at this. He loves him.
Perfect.
He loves it. Come get him. Bring us James. We'll bring you those three. Sound good?
I don't know where we'll be able to find Ben, but hopefully.
Let's see. Matisse Thybulle wouldn't fit of bench scoring and playing with Joel Embiid playing in the game. He's not the perfect fit next to him. Yeah. He's just not. And
who'd be a really good fit next to him? A 3-and-D player. And Thybulle's just not that.
You mean the dude that played for Phoenix last night?
Yeah, he looked really good.
Yeah.
Who was that guy?
That we traded away for a guy who's not in the league anymore.
Side note for you. We were never going to we'll never beat the Suns. We might have already done it, but from here on out, when Mikal Bridges plays in the Wells Fargo Center.
Yeah.
He has like a win percentage of probably like 97%.
I know. But yeah, back to the summer thing before we move on. It's just, I'm with you. I can't wait. You can call me being impatient. I get it. I'm watching what Joel Embiid does right now. And I said this months ago to Scotty, and obviously, would I like to keep everybody and then add James to it in the offseason? Sure. But there's going to be moving parts to fix that, to fit that contract.
Also, Lord forbid, Markelle Fultz runs into Joel Embiid again.
Right. They bang heads.
What if James Harden says, this guy hasn't played in a postseason yet, a whole postseason, I'm not playing with this guy, and doesn't come here?
Yeah. I don't know.
Go get him.
Yeah, that's my point. You can't let any want to creep back into their heads to run it back. Like, you have a very small window here where he is disgruntled. He's unhappy. We've seen how things play out when he's unhappy, and you go and you get him here now. Okay. So I'm not worried about moving Seth Curry. I'm not worried about moving Matisse Thybulle. Chile, I saw your comments earlier about Drummond. It's definitely weird. I agree. Like, that's a name I never thought would be included in a James Harden deal. Obviously, the Sixers would need to add something because Charles Bassey just ain't going to cut it behind Joel Embiid. But I really hope there's no one saying I'm not doing the deal because we need our backup center.
Andre Drummond's going to play 14 minutes in the playoffs.
Right. So you do that. Isaiah Joe's name was thrown out there. Jordan Schultz on the Mike Missinelli show. I don't know. I haven't seen a report about that, but he said that's a name Brooklyn has had interest in. But the two names that continue to stick are Curry and Thybulle. And you do it. If you can find a way to make it one, you obviously do it. But what I'm saying is, if I'm Daryl Morey, I am not saying no by 3 p.m. tomorrow because Brooklyn wants both. If you could find a way to make it Ben, Curry, and how many first would you give up, Gint? 1 or 2?
I'd give up 1 and a swap, and if they say no to that, I'd say 2.
Yeah. See, you like
You don't draft anyone that's good anyway. Obviously, Maxi's exclusive.
maybe they want Jaden Springer.
Yeah, they probably don't know who he is.
Jason, man, we're on the same page, my dude. It doesn't matter. Like, guys, seriously, I can't get over it. I can't get over the amount of pushback on social media and on Twitter of we can't trade both Thibault and Curry. Why the F can't we? Thibault and Curry or James Harden? What equates better there again? I believe one of the best scorers the league has ever seen, correct?
Yeah, the guy that's going to be in the NBA Hall of Fame. He was on the top 75 basketball players of all time. He was on that list.
Yeah. All right, so we can continue to circle around to this. Let's see. Vincent, if Harden doesn't want to play, just get him out. It's a perfect situation because Ben also wants out. Hey, man, you are my kind of Nets fan. Do you think Tobias Harris gets traded by tomorrow? I don't.
I think if they don't get Harden, he does.
Oh, well, this brings me to my next topic of the show, Gint. If Harden's not on the table, if a move's not being made, will smaller moves be able to be made to boost the roster? Morey knows this roster is not complete. And to me, obviously the trade deadline is at 3 p.m. tomorrow. We all know this. But what is Daryl Morey's deadline? Because you can't allow Brooklyn to keep playing with you all morning and afternoon tomorrow, and it gets to 2, 2:15, 2:30, and you still don't have a deal for James Harden. They hang up, say, no, we're holding on to him. We'll see you in the summer maybe. And now you can't do anything else to fix this roster. Do you think there will be enough time? If a deal doesn't get done, obviously Harden's already listed out tomorrow. Maybe a trade comes tonight or early in the morning. Who the hell knows? But if no trade is made, what's your deadline here? What are you starting to do if you're Daryl Morey?
So if you don't get Harden, again, like you just mentioned, I think at that point I don't want to use the word chalking up the season, but I think you are. And the best way to get James Harden in the summer is to trade Tobias Harris, or to ensure you have the cap space, to ensure everything you need is to trade Tobias Harris for a salary dump somewhere. And I think that's a realistic option. You saw the thing today talking about they contacted OKC. Mm-hmm. The Sixers have been at the deadline and have traded with OKC. Obviously, last year with George Hill, they traded Al Horford to OKC. They've been in cahoots before. It could be a thing. I think that's the second most realistic thing that happens outside of the Harden thing. I think I would probably say the Harden thing is more possible. But yeah, it all depends on what Philly looks at the season if you don't get Harden. Do you think this roster, as constructed, and you don't get Harden, you go all in at the deadline, you don't worry about anything else, yada, 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 can win without him? Then you don't have to trade Tobias,
But who realistically thinks that? I see this team as a second. I see this team as a second round exit again if they do nothing. Kai Carlin came on Scotty Talks the other week. He thinks, not for sure, it depends matchup wise, but he thinks they could possibly be a first round exit depending on who they get matched up with, and that's not out of the realm of possibility. So you're I think this team is somewhere in the middle, again. So there are people out there in this fan base that think this Sixers team, as constructed right now, could possibly contend. Or if they make one minor move to the bench, they could possibly contend. I don't think they're there. I also don't think they are where we thought they were in November and December, where they were just kind of a mess. They can't contend at all. I think they're somewhere in the middle. And I think if you go out and get a James Harden, or if not a James Harden, you go out and get a good backup point guard to come off the bench, a guy that can go and get a bucket off the bench, or a 3-and-D guy off the bench, a legit 3-and-D guy off the bench. I think that helps them and gives them a little bit better of a chance. But obviously, the ultimate prize here is James Harden. Scotty saying, I won't lie to you. I think they have a shot, but I'm an outsider with that opinion. No, listen, man, they have a shot, but I don't think it's anywhere close to a realistic shot. I think it's
It,
like, okay, if Joel, like, are we asking Joel Embiid to average 45 in every playoff series?
it, it would have to happen. And the way Milwaukee looked last night, they're in like a way higher tier than us.
They
And
just
Embiid, go ahead.
they just don't have enough.
Yeah,
Like
Embiid gives you a shot in every series, but outside of that, like teams are gonna pick a Thibault apart in the playoffs in terms of being able to throw so many bodies in Embiid. It's just gonna it's too much to ask. And now if you get a guy like James Harden, things might be different, but obviously that's not gonna happen.
they just don't have enough firepower. They don't like that's the whole point here. If you can go out and add to this roster, fill some holes, or bring in a superstar talent like we're aiming to do, then yes, I think you're there. I think you're 100% there. But until you do so, no, I'm not. I can't lump myself in that crowd. I'll have the hope. I'll be semi confident come playoff time and be like, oh, sure, Embiid could do this, blah blah blah. Depend matchup wise who they get, but like you said, getting you run into the Bucks, they're not beating the Heat in a 7-game series, guys.
Listen,
Like the Cavs would give
no,
them
they're beating the
problems.
Heat.
The Sixers?
I hate the Heat. They beat
Well, I get you hate them, but
they probably I wouldn't allow them to lose. But my
we
next
have a
point,
good.
no, you're good.
I was going to say the comment: Simmons and Curry for Harden, then trade Green and Furkan and a second for Eric Gordon. I think that's a little too much for Eric Gordon. But I'm all for Simmons and Curry for Harden, and then I'll throw you Furkan and a second for Eric Gordon, or Green and a second for Eric Gordon.
Like even the comments Doc made last night, I think that
The
was
point
like,
guard.
yo, Daryl, like I just got named a top 15 coach in NBA history. Can you make sure?
Now listen. This might get a little off topic. Doc did nothing to help himself. Doc may be the key reason they lost that game last night with that stretch of the full bench.
Here's my thing with that, Don, is, and this is totally out of left field, but we talk about Jonathan Gannon and we talk about how bad he is, and
right, not having the personnel.
Sit there and say, do you have the personnel? Do we have the personnel to beat the Phoenix Suns?
No,
because there's probably two teams in the entire NBA that have that.
Right, but I think to the other side of the argument is you need to stop with the all bench unit. I don't know how many times we have to discuss this. You're a top 15 coach of all time. You can't realize it's not a good idea to have Point Furk running with George Niang and Andre Drummond and Danny Green. Like, come on, man.
Dude, Point Furk is seriously just like one of the.
I can't watch it, bro.
Like
you know what I can't watch, and I'm sure you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because he did it last night. And JaVale McGee threw it 900 miles an hour off the glass. He gets in the lane. He does it at least once a night when he gets the ball in his hands. He comes around a screen at the top of the key on his right side. He gets in the lane and he goes up with this soft ass underhand layup that gets thrown 800 miles per hour off the backboard, almost hits the center court, and it's going the other way. He does it once a game.
Dude, I don't get how Doc and these other guys haven't gone there and been like, hey, like, we can't have this guy be our backup point guard. Don't get me wrong. Like, Furk's doing what he can for the position. Like, he's not supposed to be a backup point guard. He's trying, dude, but holy smokes, we're 50-something games into the season, and this dude's still our backup point guard.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I think Shake Milton disappeared. I don't even think
Where is Shake?
I don't even think he's a basketball player anymore.
Where is he?
Zaire Smith hanging out somewhere.
Yeah. But that's to my point. If you cannot go and get James Harden in time, that's a clear and obvious hole that this team needs to fill if they want to try to be in the conversation in title contention come postseason time. Backup point guard.
And there's names out there. There's a lot of names.
Right. And if you have an answer for my question, what's your deadline if you're Daryl Morey? It can't be 3 p.m. You cannot get to Brooklyn. You cannot be in talks with Brooklyn till 2:30 and not have a singular other move made, because if they run out the clock, you're getting caught with your pants down, and now you're doing nothing this year at all because you didn't fill any holes.
Yeah.
So is it 1 p.m.? Is it noon?
I don't think it's necessarily a timestamp. I think it's you have other deals in your back pocket. And
what if those teams say, hey, man, we've got other offers for this dude, for that dude?
Yeah.
I need an answer.
That's tough. That's
Now, obviously, I'm sure you go out and get a backup point guard for, some draft comp that you're not going to have to move for a Harden deal and stuff like that. But now salaries get even more confusing if you pull out trades that way. So I don't know. Did
I
you
love
listen?
the go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I love the idea of Dennis Schroeder if you can't get Harden. I love the
Oh,
idea.
me too. Me too.
Corey Joseph is another name that I like a lot. I like anyone that can play basketball and play the point guard position for us that isn't named Furkan Korkmaz. But no, those two names definitely jump off the table for me in terms of guys I've heard that are surfacing.
Now, what's another need for you if not backup point guard? Is it a guy? Is it a bucket getter like a Terrence Ross off the bench, or is it a 3-and-D type of guy that we're talking about?
No, it's definitely like a microwave guy.
Did you see they were linked to Alec Burks? It was Dennis Schroeder and Alec Burks.
That's the second name.
Bro, go get me Alec Burks back.
Yeah, I like
with
Alec
James Harden. I don't care.
Yeah, I like Alec Burks a lot. I think he helps Sixers.
Oh,
obviously, being that microwave guy, being a
combo. Remember when he was a Sixer? Well, we were still in college.
Yeah, it took him 40 years to get here. They traveled on.
So I do want to go back for 1 second. Did you see the report? I think it was by your boy Jason Dumas, where Patty Mills' name was thrown in there.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know why.
There's no way that's true.
Yeah, Brooklyn has Kyrie Irving for one of every. I think isn't it like I'm pretty sure it's all 10 of the last 29 games.
Yes. Yes. Like, and that was like 2 games ago.
The Nets need Patty Mills, especially if they're going to move James Harden. Because here, this is totally off the rocker, but here's another thing: if they move for Ben, is Ben playing when he comes back? Is Ben going? You can't just tell me Ben's going to Brooklyn. He's inserted in the first night.
No, hell no.
I mean that was totally. But no, I think the Patty Mills thing is very unrealistic.
The whole thing
I saw also is Javon Carter, which would make sense for.
I did see that. I don't mind that as well.
Yeah, he's
he'd probably play over for the guys that are already on our team, but my thing, the whole Ben thing's interesting to me, like what you just said, because I don't think Brooklyn's even looking at it from that point of view right now. Their whole reason for moving James now is because if they know he's not re-signing and running it back in the offseason. That's the only reason they're moving him. And if they can't get Ben right away, they can't get Ben to play right away. And they'll see what happens with that. He's locked up on the contract. And like you said, if you bring in Carey and Thibault or one or the other in draft comp, whatever it is, Brooklyn's getting something for James Harden. What I think is amazing is how elevated his price tag is right now compared to what he was moved for from Houston.
Yeah. Yeah. The bag of, I don't even know the word to use. I didn't want to curse, but Victor Oladipo and trash was what he was sent for.
Right. The skeleton of Victor Oladipo and garbage bags was sent for James Harden. And now, again, I'm all for it. I'll do it. But I don't understand how it went from that to Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Matisse Thybulle. I don't get it. But again, I ain't waiting, and I want it done. Again, thought process here. If you had to give it a percentage, because, again, Jordan Schultz was on the Missinelli show, he gave it a 55% chance yes, 45% chance no. What would you put this trade as?
Say 25% yes, 75% no.
Crushing my spirit.
Dude, I just don't like when I'm – and, again, it's all he said, she said, but, like, the counter reports that we're getting of, like, the counter offers they're sending back and forth just aren't close. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, I feel like the names that have been said, the names aren't going to change. All of a sudden, you're not going to be like, oh, Paul Reed and are now thrown into the deal. It's like, here's the list of names. Pick them. If we don't like it, when's it going to happen?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I can't understand why no one else is talking about this Harden thing, about why he's already ruled out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's
everyone, like, it's retweeted. You know, people were talking about it, but like no one else. Like, I'm looking at it from the point of view of his missed games. Right, he was not a game time decision, but it was going to be a day of type of thing on yesterday actually, and at like 2 p.m. or whatever, 3 p.m. it was okay. James Harden's out. Why is it 27 hours before his game for hamstring tightness that the day prior he was a possible go?
So it's either one, it actually is hurt, or two, Philly said you need to rule him out now. That way we know he's not even shoot around, not at
Right.
practice, not at anything. There's a chance of that.
Yeah, there's like, oh man, we're gonna wrap this up soon because I can't. My mental stability cannot keep doing this. I'm gonna get off of here and I'm gonna refresh Twitter and refresh Twitter
Yeah.
dude, I'm afraid to sleep. Like
Yeah.
I
If I
can't.
miss it, I'll be like,
I don't even have. I don't work tomorrow morning. I'm afraid to even like sleep in the slightest because God forbid I wake up at 9:30, 10 o'clock and it's been out for an hour and a half. Like,
yeah. I missed the Tobias trade, and I missed the Jimmy trade.
fun fact: Tobias Harris was traded around midnight or 1 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning, the night of my 21st birthday.
Really?
So I was out and about, and
Yeah.
Tobias Harris got traded, and we were all lit
I
up,
woke
ready
up
to
for an
go.
exam, and I just saw a text that Tobias with eyes, and I was like, Tobias? We need Tobias.
Tobias.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, his play has elevated since the trade talks have heated up, since the booing, the back and forth with the fans started. But all right, man. Last thing for you, we talked about 3 p.m. tomorrow. If not Harden, what if anything else can be done? If smaller moves are just made, but not Harden, what is a failure tomorrow at 3 p.m.? Obviously, we could sit here and say, well, if they do nothing, that's a failure. Duh.
Yeah.
But like, are you James Harden or bust? Are you, if not James Harden, a couple pieces need to be added, not just one? What's a failure in your eyes for Daryl Morey and the Sixers by deadline tomorrow?
If you don't get Harden, you don't make any leadway. In the retrospective, you got better, not George Hill better, or you didn't make leadway in terms of making it clear that Harden will be a Sixer in the offseason. So that's moving Tobias, to be honest with you.
Right.
Right. But if you get like a Schroeder, if you get Burks is probably like the line where I'd be like, dude, are we serious? Like we didn't get anything. And even Burks, I'd probably want something else next to it as well.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Even
but I'd love me some Alec Burks.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where the Sixers can grab Alec Burks and get James Harden.
Yeah, it'd be different.
Or James Harden and Patty Mills. Like it's all about a dream come true if that could happen. Like Sixers fans, are you okay with that one? I even saw people saying no. The proposed, Harden and Mills for Ben, Thibault, Drummond, and Carey. People were like, nah, it's too much. What in the blue hell are you talking about right now?
It's too much.
It's too much. First of all, Patty Mills trumps anything you're moving in that deal, let alone James Harden. And you're bringing in both of them to put next to Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason that I want to wait, right? That I don't want to wait. Because if you can move for Harden now, you at least get the small sample size, correct me if I'm wrong, of Embiid, Harden, and Harris.
Yeah.
For the rest of the season. Tobias gets to be that third option. Hell, maybe even fourth option with Mac. He gets to go back to that role. He's been averaging almost 22 points per game. He gets to go back to that. You run it, see how it goes, right? And if, then you can move him in the offseason if need be when Harden gets the extension. But I don't want to just be like, oh, let's move. Because, dude, if you move Harris now to make room for Harden in the offseason, you're really packing in this season.
Oh yeah, I would shut down
at
that point.
Like you're going from a team that's battling for the number 1 seed in the East with an MVP candidate in Joel Embiid, hoping for a title. These are the teams that are supposed to get better. If you move Harris for cap space, you got greatly worse.
Yeah, but if you move Tobias, the money has to match up, and any player you're basically going to get at that point is going to significantly contribute, depending on who the names are. I didn't even really look into what the OKC package was coming back, but
no, I didn't see either.
I still think I'm pretty sure I've read something that Buddy Hield might be still in the market today.
I did see that, and then I saw a report shortly after that. Indiana is not interested in. They've received calls, but they're not interested. Seen Sacramento is not interested in moving Harrison Barnes. Before we wrap up the show, let's go around the NBA for a second. Makes sense of the mess that you've seen so far, but let's start in Portland. What in God's name is going on in Portland right now?
I
And
love.
Damian Lillard, if you don't request a trade this offseason, my God, you are like, dude, you are loyal to a goddamn fault. It's no one else's fault but your own for not getting the hell out of Portland after this.
So I liked the deal originally for Portland if they were blowing it up,
Yeah,
but they're
but
not.
then you moved.
And then they just trade Nikhil Alexander Walker for
Yeah.
Joe Ingles. So I didn't like the deal after that. I also again like the deal if they were blowing it up, basically saying, okay, what can we get for Dame now? Like, what CBS receipt of things can we get for Damian Lillard? So that one was weird. The Pelicans, I don't get it. I really don't. So now they have Devontae Graham, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. Like, where are the stops coming from? So that's kind of where I was going with that. Don't get me wrong, they got a veteran guard they wanted, and CJ McCollum is a good NBA contributor. But like, if they're worried about the Sixers stopping people,
Right, and I keep seeing people are like, "Oh, they're new big four or whatever," and they keep including Zion. Newsflash, everybody: Zion's got to get on the floor.
He's played the same amount of games
as Ben Simmons.
Yeah. So that trade was so weird. I don't know. Maybe the Pelicans can score a lot and find a way to get stops, but the next one was the weird one. The Halliburton and Hield go to Indiana.
Poor kid cried, bro.
Sabonis goes to Sacramento. I don't know. Sacramento's a faker is what they would call that at the deadline, right?
Yeah.
Fox, Sabonis, and Harrison Barnes. You're trying to get, and then the report today was they're trying to get to a play-in spot. If that's
they won't move. They won't move Harrison Barnes because they're trying to get into the playoff spot.
Like, you traded a youth guard, like one of probably the best 10 players under the age of 24 in the NBA.
You had a young up and coming star who wanted to help Sacramento. Yeah. Find another person who wants to be in Sacramento.
Yeah, and
I'll give you $100. You can't find one because Sacramento sucks. And this dude wanted to help, and you shipped them out.
The only thing that I'll say about the deal is they got Buddy Hield off the books. And getting Buddy Hield off the books is, in my opinion, a very, very good move because he's probably on one of the 5 worst contracts in the NBA, in my opinion. Right. So that's good. And then Indiana, I thought, made out like a bandit. They get Halliburton. They get Hield. And don't get me wrong, Hield's not on a good contract, but the Halliburton is the name in that deal that's now they have. Right. They have Malcolm Brogdon. They have Halliburton.
But now reportedly they're moving Brogdon next year.
Yeah, I would assume they probably would. I think they're probably going to blow it up at this point.
Right. So, Vincent says, would you rather Dame or Harden? This is a tough-ass question.
Like right now? Like this second?
I guess.
It would probably take, I don't even know. I don't know. I'd take both. I don't know. But
yeah. For some reason, Harden, like maybe it's just the closeness of the situation because it's, it could be close to getting done. Yeah. But the name just, the pick and roll I'm imagining with Harden and Embiid, the playmaking ability that Harden has, the ability to go out and get a 30-point triple-double next to the 30-point double-double big man, like, yeah, Scotty's saying it, man. And we made the graphics, Scotty. We had the Dame handing out cheesesteak graphics before. This isn't saying that we don't want Damian Lillard, but Harden, I don't know. The fit just seems a little bit different, a little bit better in my mind.
The only thing I'd say, though, is if Dame's on the books for, I don't even know his contract, but I'm pretty sure Dame's on the books if you traded for him, and I don't think Harden is. But obviously, you make. I think Harden would have to sign an extension if they make the deal with him. So I'd probably say both.
All right, good. Well, sadly, no news broke in the 45 minutes that we were live. I was really. It just seems like around this time that some things like happened in the past on the show, but it didn't. Hopefully, something transpires tonight or tomorrow. We will be right back here live on DSM Media's Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube channel at 5 p.m. discussing what went down at the NBA trade deadline. Will the 76ers be buyers? Will they bring in James Harden? Will it be a multitude of other picks to fill some holes? We don't know, and we'll be back. What's up?
I'm just envisioning it now. The Sixers trade for guard Wesley Matthews. I see it now.
Oh God. But yeah, we'll be right back here tomorrow live at 5 p.m. and we'll also be talking about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hold on, that is one more thing I had to bring up. This does not feel like Super Bowl week at all because us as Sixers fans, we come on here, we talk about the Sixers, right? We cover the Sixers if you want to look at it that way from a fan's point of view, and we're so entrenched in refreshing Twitter. Any NFL news that breaks, any post about the Super Bowl, I scroll right by because I'm just looking for Sixers, Harden.
Also, don't get me wrong, I love Joe Burrow, but it's literally everything about the Super Bowl is him. And
Yeah.
It's
Well, the future Hall of Famer is going to put that to bed this weekend.
Well, again, we'll discuss that tomorrow. To that point.
And that was the last thing I wanted to bring up was, could you imagine if the Eagles win their Super Bowl this week? Like it's the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
The Sixers wouldn't be allowed to make a trade. They'd have to wait. They'd have to wait past the deadline.
The NBA would have to move the deadline back a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just doesn't feel like Super Bowl week right now. Hopefully, over the weekend, of course, it'll set in and whatever. But all right, we'll be back here tomorrow. Obviously, guys, we are brought to you through DSM Media, and DSM Media is brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. So head on over to manscaped.com. Use our promo code DSM. You can see it on the bottom of your screen in a second. Code DSM at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. That is free worldwide shipping and 20% off at manscaped.com using promo code DSM. Scotty, yeah. Well, that pass rush in LA is something that that Bengals offensive line hasn't seen yet, and they've already given up almost double-digit sacks. So we will see, my friend, and Scotty and I will be back maybe tomorrow and maybe this weekend. Obviously, this weekend, talking about the Super Bowl and the championship games. But for myself, for Gint, and for DSM Media, have a nice night and do the